with this. I drowned my sorrows in the strongest thing I could find. It was Dr. Pepper Zero. I took a deep breath and enjoyed the view. There she was at the corner of my eye. What a dame. The lines, bloody hell, this is killing me. I've never seen a dame looking so smoking hot. I knew at that point that is one box I wanted to get into.
This is Noir, the black box edition, set up for a 6 to 8 player game. So as you can see, we've got a grid here of suspects, which is 6 by 6. This adjusts depending on how many players are playing. Each player will get a card here, which will represent who they are on the grid. So all of the cards in this deck here are present here. Any ones that aren't in the grid are removed from play for this purpose. So we're going to look at the variant spy tag, as there's many different ways to actually play this game, but it's all using the same components and a few tokens which are actually under the box insert here. You can do several actions. You can shift, collapse, capture or canvas in this game. And the idea is you are split into teams of 2 and preferably sitting opposite each other around a table. And it's the first person to capture 3 people, thus gaining 3 trophies between the 2 of them, wins the game. So how do we find out who each other is? So we narrow it down by doing an action called a canvas. So what you have to do with the canvas is you have to be adjacent to someone you're going to canvas. So in this case, say I am Ivan here. So we find Ivan, which is here. And I want to find out who is in this sort of area to get a good picture of whether I'm close or not to one of my opponents. So what I would do is although I could canvas from myself, that's quite risky. So you'd pick someone probably not too far from you. Like I said, it does have to be adjacent. I'd maybe say I'd canvas from Nathan. Anyone who is adjacent to Nathan, including myself, would then raise their hand. So that gives you an idea of who's roughly in that area. So say if no one's in that area, you want to get yourself into a better position to canvas other areas, then you'd do something that's called a shift action. So to perform a shift, you either work in rows or columns. So for example, this being a column, if I wanted to shift, I would move Trevor down and then shift all of these along, like so. And then Trevor would then go at the top like that. That works in the opposite way. So if you wanted to shift them all up, that's fine as well. And the same with rows. So if I want to shift, I could shift them this way. And then Hubert would go on the end there. So that's how you basically move around the grid to get close to players that you want to canvas, or areas you want to canvas, or people you want to capture if you've got a good idea of, you know, who you think your opponents are. So the other thing you can do is called collapsing. So collapsing is basically where you take out the deceased characters and condense the grid. You can only do this obviously if the grid doesn't, it wouldn't become disjointed or unequal. So there has to be a deceased character in every column. So for example, if we just take all of these deceased cards out of the grid, you're left with spaces. So obviously you could then push these up like this, and then you're back to a standard grid size, and that's basically what collapsing is. So how do we capture people? So if you want to capture Darnell, you have to get your character. So in this case, mine's Elise. I need to be either here, 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 here or here. So basically adjacent, and diagonal does count in this purpose. So I don't have to be straight here, I could be here. So as long as it's like next to in that regards, then that's fine. If it's a successful capture, this card then gets flipped over like this, and then I collect that player's character card, and that counts as 1 trophy to my team, and the deceased player, captured player, then draws another card. It's the first team to 3 trophies in a 6 to 8 player game. The winning conditions are slightly adjusted depending on how many players, but ultimately that is the way you win. Noir. I want to start off with saying I did actually like this game, but it isn't without its faults. One of the main things that I really disliked about the game is the rules. They contradict themselves quite a few times, and they aren't the easiest thing to get your head around. It caused a lot of confusion in my gaming group, and we're all pretty seasoned gamers, and we've never really come across having too many issues in regards to learning game rules. So we ended up playing Spy Tag quite a lot because we found that one to be easier to learn, to teach, and to just to basically know that we're playing it correctly. So that's my first gripe with the game. Other thing that I disliked about the game is the fact that in the rules it refers to having certain components like safe tokens that don't appear to be in the game. So I thought that was slightly bad also, because I was like looking for these tokens. I was like, it definitely states them in the rules and they're not there. Other than that, I have to say I actually really liked the game. Spy Tag I found really fun. It covers a wide range of players, which is great because sometimes I have about 6 gamers, but then my gaming group can go up to 9 depending on, you know, availability. So the fact that it covers a wide range of players I found really good. I really liked the artwork. I thought it was very fitting of the theme, and the quality of the components and the cards were spot on, so I can't really complain there. I really enjoyed the deduction element and basically moving around and canvassing, trying to get to find out where people are in certain areas, but not to do it too often to give my own location away. Spy Tag is definitely my favourite variant. I've played other variants of the game, but I found them drawn out, and at times it's just too much downtime between turns and people start to lose interest. All in all, I think Noir is a really good deductive game.